Good evening. Today is March 24th. S&P 500 closed down 18 points, a little less than 0.5%. It made an intraday high for the day at 11 a.m., but then sold off for the rest of the day, and it failed to hold 3,900 round number in the last half an hour of the day, and then sold off another 18 points. Russell was down 2% after being down over 3% yesterday, and NASDAQ was down 210 points, a little over 1.5%. Oil has reversed yesterday's 7% sell-off, and it was up 5% today after Germany has reversed their decision to lock down the country for Easter. They were supposed to introduce a very strict lockdown for the 5 days of Easter holidays, but Merkel has reversed her decision under the pressure from the public and her own political party. Meanwhile, in US, the CDC has extended its ban on cruise ship operators departing from US or operating in US waters until November 1st. And they keep warning about more cases. But if you look at the graph of the cases, it's really not that bad. GameStop closed today down 34% after reporting earnings after hours, and I guess people didn't like what they hear. It has been trading, like I was saying, in the range for the last 6 days, and so it finally broke out from that. Even Tesla was down today, almost 5%. Elon Musk has tweeted that he would allow purchases of Tesla in Bitcoin and said that he would not convert the money into US currency. But even his tweeting didn't help Tesla today. Bitcoin, meanwhile, was up 5% on that news and also didn't work. It sold off and closed down 53,500. The market report said that the rate of input price inflation was the sharpest since they started data collection in 2009, and selling prices rose at the fastest pace on record as well. And Yellen, meanwhile, said that we need to raise revenue to support outlays. So she again comes out in support of high taxes. And all this news, the bonds were up yet again. To me, the market looks rather precarious right now that 3,900 level is broken and NASDAQ and Russell are both selling off a little too much. Victor, what do you think?
The market looks good. When it breaks the round number, it's very bullish. Chances that it will go above before it goes below the next one is about 90–95%. We had a day of stock market vigilantes. They basically forcing a bearish pull so that the tax increases in New York and federal government aren't without any reprisal. The main feature overnight was the Nikkei down 500 points. It's traditional to believe that the Bushido in Japan, after spending a hard day of 12 hours working, like to take a drink with their colleagues. Some of them tend to relax rather than going home and facing the wife, having her push them out of the house. And they like to stay in little hotels. I like to think that that when they get out of the hotels, they get back to their interventions. They don't want to see the stock market go down after it hit 30,000. Now it's facing 28,000. So I like to pretend that at 4 a.m. they get out of their what traditionally in Japan are called love hotels. I visited one just to see what it was like. It's very computerized operation. Everything is very elegant, very orderly, have good food. At 4:30 Eastern time, which would be 4:30 their time, they came and they moved the yen up, the Nikkei up 200 points, and that brought the stock market to 39.20. Frequently, the vigilantes act in one way or another. They usually act in bonds. The federal in the old days, if the Federal Reserve wasn't minding its P's and Q's, they would knock the bonds down, especially at the end of the day. So now we have a few bears, obviously. Maybe the palindrome's always bearish, and then when he's bearish, 100 institutions go along with him. He used to express his bearish views on television after he had the position, and then someone from his office would call up the media and say the market looks terrible. There's a big seller there. And of course, the big seller was them. I'm talking archetypically. I'm not saying that the palindrome did it recently, but it has that. There have been three big down opens, down 25 yesterday, down 25 today. And prior day was down 10. There's an excess of bearishness right now. The GameStop move is, I think, very healthy. It's not cricket when the small investors make money at the expense of the infrastructure. So they got a lesson today, and usually the lesson will continue in their minds. There's been a lot of talk about a reason for bearishness. The market on a 1-year basis, or since its low on March 15th, up 50%. And there's talk about this being very bearish, but of course this is mumbo jumbo. It's another untested, as Bacon would say, it's not. The public has no right to lose as much as they do. But in any case, when you look back, one of my former employees, Mr. Peter Penkoven, did a study taking all the times that the market was up 50% or more on a 1-year basis. He looked at the expectation in the next month. He found that it was about 80% that the market would be up. A month later, up on average 3%. But the tax increases are worrisome. The government is going in a full woke basis. Usually that's very bullish. They have a voting rights bill where all the immigrants and everybody would be able to vote with mail-in votes. there'd be a commission appointed by with the deciding vote passed by the president. And the CDC now, there's a nice article in Reason about all the delays that the FDA caused. 10 delays that they caused. They have about 8,000 employees, and of course the main delay is that they wanted to have full course double-blind testing of the virus, and usually it takes 10 years to approve a vaccine, but this one after a lot of Sturm Drang, they approved in a few months, and of course they had the information about the vaccine's efficacy several weeks before the election, but they didn't announce it because all the big farmers they joined the Tripoli in being totally on the side of the progressives. So you might say if taxes were going to be increased to 100%, the market would probably go up because that would be very woke. But the NASDAQ move was worrisome during the day. It actually declined 3% from the open, closed at the low and opened at the high. And the entire day, the NASDAQ was up and stocks were down. But then, so we've had 2 blue days in a row. 3 out of the last 4 days have been blue. The stock market vigilantes don't like the fact that there's unanimity between the Fed twins, Chance Gardner and Janet Yellen, that they feel that they should use government money to bail out all politicized sectors of the economy, that make sure that unions get their due, and the states get their due. And I think the stock market vigilantes are they're taking their cue. Pretty soon, the president is going to speak. He's going to have a press conference with the vigilantes working. That will temper that always tempers the minutes, the open market committee minutes, and they while they're giving their speech at the open market committee, usually one of the chair's assistants will pass them a word. The stock market's going way down 1%. You better say that the economy isn't that bad. But of course, one of the reasons for saying the economy is bad, because it's good for the Tripoli, it's good for the progressive cause. So naturally, everything they say. I was going to say, when are we going to realize that these agencies, the FDA and the CDC, everything they say is politicized, has has, 95% of them give to the progressives rather than the other side. So naturally, they want more power. They want to be more important. They don't take account of cost benefit analysis. So why not shut down the cruise lines? Apparently, the cruise lines must not have any non-woke donors.
I have just put up on the screen the 7-day average line of cases. And as you could see, there is no big spike at all right now. It's been on a downward trajectory since the peak in beginning of January.
When the 7-day average is going down like that, the last instance, the last death rate is even further down below the average level. That's a mistake that Holbrook Working made when he, in his pioneering study, showed that wheat prices are not random. By the way, I was interested to note that Holbrook Working, as well as Milton Friedman, worked with Fred Mastella in the second in the group of geniuses that whiz kids that were drafted to do operations research to help to help win the war. It's not that government employees are incapable of doing effective work. They did very effective work during the Second World War and First World War, and the Atomic Energy Commission. And when they have a specific purpose and they're trying to requite the specific purpose without political motivations and without trying to increase their power and their importance, their ability to get the pretty girls. And the FDA is particularly pernicious with all. The Reason article had about 10 different areas where the FDA delayed, they took days off, and they prevented testing. Oh yeah, but I think about 30% of all the FDA salaries are paid by the farm industry. In addition, at the top level, there's some cockamamie stuff where the pharma companies have to pay royalties to the top level FDA officials. As I mentioned, the Flexions are in control. I saw a headline that Kamala Harris is, by the way, she continues to increase her lead over Biden. She's about 3-2 more likely to be the Democratic candidate for president in 2024. By the way, the odds on the Democrats winning the next election are about 55 to 45%. They're about 10 out of 19 that they'll beat the Republicans. And there's some interesting power play going on in New York. They're saying that the impeachment investigation of Cuomo will take 3 months. So by that time will be a will of the wisp. It was interesting. They were able to conduct an impeachment investigation for the president in 1 day, but it will take them. And of course, there's tremendous interference going on. All the witnesses are the complaining witnesses are being debriefed by attorneys for the state. So you can imagine how that is. You know, these poor witnesses, they're out of, some of them are out of work. They can't pay for a lawyer, so there's a government lawyer who's looking at them, warning them of all their possible transgressions and possible consequences. You want to have a proverb of the day?
Definitely.
Yeah, somehow the readers like that. I should get one about. He has a lot of proverbs about the close. Basically, that when the close is very wild against you, you should look back, and you'll find that you lost it during the middle of the game. Oh, here's one. Your game is often less strong in the ending than it appears in the opening. Much like today. Look very strong. The truth of the matter is that it was lost in the muddle. So I think that's been very appropriate for the last 3 days, although I guess the turning point was somehow the Tripoli didn't. They started out about 1% better than the S&P, and they ended up 1.5% worse. So that was an indication that something wasn't kosher. In any case, tomorrow's another day. I'm sorry my prediction of yesterday was incorrect. My prediction for today was incorrect, but I'm still going with the 50,000 fold a year drift. The fact that it broke through the round number is very bullish. Okay, see you tomorrow, my friend.
Thank you, Victor.